All right, I want to take you back to Chicago and the police shooting there that has left a grandmother and a college student dead. You just heard at the news conference today loved ones of the victims expressing their anger, their frustration, but also sympathy, and not just for the family members. Listen to Jamal Cole. He is the nephew of Betty Jones. She is the woman police officers admit was shot to death accidentally by one of their own officers just yesterday.
My wife's aunt, Betty Jones, was shot and killed by a Chicago police officer on the morning after Christmas. And while I'm tempted to feel hate for all Chicago police officers right now, I know this is a difficult time we got to get past in our city. I think we got to show the police officers and the family a lot of compassion. This is not the time for hatred in our city. It's not the time for violence.
Jamal Cole joins me now from Chicago. First of all, my condolences for your loss, and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
I want to talk more about your plea for compassion in just a minute, but first, I mean, you knew her. She is your wife's aunt,
yes.
Betty Jones, 55 years old.
Yes.
I know that she loved her church. Tell us a little bit more about who she was.
Well, she was a Chicagoan, a person that loved people on her block, a person that loved people in her neighborhood and loved her family. And it was tragic what happened to Betty, and we are here today to express our agony and express our concern for what happened last night.
I know that you were not there when the shooting happened, and there are still many questions, right? We don't have any of the potential dash camera video or body camera video. What do you know about what happened?
Well, from my understanding, and I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to speak as her attorney, but from my understanding, she was shot through the door, and she was shot 3 times by Chicago police officers, and I think that they used deadly force in a situation where it was not called for, and I think that there needs to be some swift justice. We want immediate solutions. We don't want the situation to play out for a year, and I think that there needs to be justice in this situation.
But don't you want I can't understand the shoes you're standing in right now. I can't. And I know you're asking for swift justice. You do not want justice delayed. But also, do you want to give this the time for a proper investigation?
Well, yes, I actually do. I'm not an attorney, but what I think is we need to show compassion towards not only the family, not only us, but I think we need to show compassion towards police officers. I think the peace starts with us. The peace starts with me, and the peace starts with the officers that first showed up on that scene. So I think everybody's going to be impacted by this situation, and we need to use this as an opportunity to get better as a city. It's not a time right now for hate. It's not a time for swift decisions. This is a time for compassion towards the suffering of people that live in West Garfield Park, and compassion towards people that live in the Loop.
And that really struck me when you said that in the press conference, compassion for the family, the loved ones, but also for police officers. I mean, this is your community. You started this organization, My Block, My Hood, My City. What does that compassion look like as you and your peers there in Chicago try to rebuild the relationship with the Chicago Police Department?
Well, the first officer that showed up on the scene last night is a good friend of mine. I won't put his name on blast, but I do know him. And so he's an activist in the community and a person that's done a lot of great things in Chicago. And I think that, and not taking away from the injustice that happened last night, but I do think that we need to look at who these officers are. Having a badge can amplify your true character. If you're a good person, having a badge you're gonna continue to do good. If you're a bad person, then having a badge is gonna amplify your wickedness. But I do know the first officer that showed up on the scene last night, he is a person that I've done a lot of community work with. So it's a tough position to be in, but I do think that all life is interconnected, like Dr. Martin Luther King said, and right now the only thing we're gonna be able to do is is express our agony and express our concern, but use it as a teaching moment for CPD, and also and not depend on manna to fall from the sky, a big city government. What can we do in a community? Do we know our neighbors? Have we joined our block club associations? What can we do to protect our streets? And that's what my block, my hood, my city is about.
Right. Wow. Everyone doing their part. Hey, let me ask you this. When you talk about the 19-year-old who was shot and killed also, Quintorio Legrier, our affiliate there, WLS, is reporting that he was mentally unstable and that he was threatening his father with an aluminum bat. I know your aunt said today that he was an honor student and did not have mental issues. What can you tell us about him?
I can tell you that regardless of what mental state, what doctors have diagnosed him with, I do not think that deadly force should have been used on this young, bright human being. This person was a leader in their community, a leader in their family, and this person had gone to college. This person was a role model. We need more role models in these communities to come back and mentor these children. A lot of the mentors today are the drug dealers. A lot of the mentors are the gangbangers. This guy clearly was not, and he was gunned down in front of his home. So I cannot speak on his mental state, but I can tell you that this person was trying to make a difference, and he was a role model, not only to people in his community, but to his family.
And what have you been told, if anything, from your family about why his father did call the police? Because again, our affiliate WLS is reporting that he was threatening his father with a bat. Do you know anything about that?
No, I do not.
Okay. Jamal Cole, I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course. Coming up next, stay with me, because I'm going to have a former NYPD detective on to talk about his perspective, someone who worked as a beat cop here in New York. Next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michael. It's my YouTube page, Mox News. Thank you very much for tuning in. Okay, so I just want to say real quick, and then I'll play this cop sucker coming up. But how come we don't know what the story from the cops is? I mean, this happened, what, 48 hours ago, and we still don't know what the cop's story is. I mean, you'll hear this prostitute in the next segment with the cop sucker say, how come, or she corrects him, because he's like, oh, they were the guy with the baseball bat was coming at the police, and like, we don't know that. The cops haven't told us their side of the story. They haven't said that this guy was charging him with the bat. How come we don't know? How come we don't know if there's video of this? What they're going to act like? They're going to act like maybe nobody saw the video cameras. They were wearing the body cams, so we can pretend like maybe there is no video. And you know what? I mean, the Chicago cops are already considered dirty pieces of shit enough. How come all this stuff isn't immediately in the light of day? What is this? We got to corroborate our story to make sure everybody's on the same page about why we murdered this mother. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. It just looks more and more criminal. You cops, you have a chance. We want you to be our heroes. We want that. What is it you want? You want to act like criminals who need to get your story straight before you make it public. Need to pretend like maybe there's no video. You don't know that there's video. As far as you know, there's no video. Oh, there was no audio on that video. You're so fucking full of shit. Please act in a respectable manner so that we can respect you, cops, because we want to respect you. But unless you call each other out for being dirty pieces of shit that you are, then you're just as dirty as the guy that you're not calling out, that you know is a dirty piece of shit. He makes you that way. He rubs all his dirty, smelly shit stink all over you. Thanks again for tuning in. One of these days this war is going to end. Hopefully the sooner the better. It's up to you and I. I'm doing a a pledge drive at the moment. If anybody wants to help Mox News stick around for 2016, the only way that we've made it on YouTube 10 years now, when I say we, I mean you and I, because that's the only ones here, you and I. The only way that we've been able to make it on YouTube for 10 years is because you wanted that. You wanted it that way. You wanted Mox News to stick around, and that's the only way that it was made possible, is by you. So I thank you very much for that, because we did some pretty cool stuff so far. Who knows what's next? Up to you. I need your help. I wouldn't ask for help if I didn't need it. I promise. I promise I wouldn't be out here asking you for $5 if I didn't need it. Okay? Thanks again for your continued support.
All right, before the break, we were talking about the deadly police shooting in Chicago that happened yesterday, shooting and killing a 19-year-old, and also accidentally, Chicago police say, shooting and killing a 55-year-old grandmother. I want to go straight to Harry Houck. He was a former NYPD detective, also formerly a beat cop here in New York. And Harry, look, we don't have video of the shooting yet. We don't really have an account from the police officers other than to say that it was an accident, that 55-year-old woman, Betty Jones, was shot and killed. What we do know is that police officers were called by the father of the 19-year-old, and they responded to the house. Let me ask you this. When you look at this incident, the family members of this 55-year-old grandmother say, why shoot so quickly? Let's listen.
Why you got to shoot first and ask questions later? It's ridiculous. You all, somebody needs to do something about this. This is ridiculous. What about the taser? Taser him down. Don't start shooting people, innocent people.
What about what she says, Harry? Why not a taser?
Well, first of all, let me say this death of Miss Jones is quite tragic, and this is one of the horrible accidents that happened in the fog of police work. I mean, here you had police officers, as far as we know in reports that I have read, that he came towards the officers with a baseball bat. The police officers had to fire.
Harry, I gotta jump in there. We have none of that reporting ourselves, nor do our affiliates. No reporting that the police were charged by this person with a bat. What we are reporting from our affiliate WLS is that the 19-year-old had a bat and was threatening his father. I just want to clear that up.
Okay, so, so it's safe to probably, well, I'm not even going to assume here. As a police officer, what I probably feel what had happened here is that LeGrier came towards the officer with the bat. That's probably what happened. That is probably why the officer fired his weapon. Police officers do not.
We don't know that, Harry.
Well, we don't, and there's not much I can say on this case. In fact, the mother's basically saying that why did the officer have to fire? I don't know. I mean, as far as I'm assuming, based on my experience, in incidents like this that I have investigated, where officers have to fire when their lives are in danger. Now, the investigation will bear that out, Poppy, but the facts are the facts aren't really clear yet, but I'm making an assumption on my part, just like the family members are making an assumption on their part and what had happened here, and based on my experience in investigating cases just like this.
So, Harry, and let's understand, because you have years and years of training on the force. Walk us through when deadly force is called for, right? You heard the family there saying, why not a taser? So walk us through. When do you make that choice as an officer?
You make that choice as an officer when your life or the life of another person is in danger. That is when you can use deadly force, the use of their weapon. So if somebody comes at you with a knife, a baseball bat, a brick, a gun, as a police officer, those weapons I'm talking about right now can kill you. Being hit in the head with a baseball bat can kill you. So if the officers were charged, and like we said, we don't know for sure, the investigation will bear it out, then the officers do have a right to fire at somebody who is coming at them with a baseball bat. And it depends on how quickly it's happening. If they had time to tell them to drop the bat, they would try and do that first, several times. But if it gets too close, where you get within immediate danger, then as an officer, you're going to have to fire your weapon.
I want to read you a statement from Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who is out on vacation right now, but he issued this statement. Anytime an officer uses force, the public deserves answers. And regardless of the circumstances, we all grieve anytime there is a loss of life in our city. All evidence will be shared with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office for additional review in the days ahead. This is Chicago we're talking about. You served in New York. What do officers expect to hear from their mayor at this point in time?
Well, the best thing Mayor Emanuel can do now, with all the bad relations with the Chicago, politicians, is the fact that just back his officers up right now, give them the benefit of the doubt until the investigation is completed. There are too many people that are going to come out in the next couple of days saying that they knew what happened, all right, and they do not know what happened. Let's just sit back. Let's wait for the investigation. Let's not assume there's going to be any misconduct or there's going to be any kind of a cover-up in this investigation. This is a separate incident, and each incident needs to be checked on by themselves.
Absolutely. It's an important point. Harry Houck, thank you very much for your perspective.
Thank you.
I do want to return to our breaking news this hour. The desperate search for more victims after a tornado outbreak in the suburbs of Dallas. Take a look at this new video.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.